Right now, AI feels absolutely unstoppable, doesn't it? But if you look back, the history of artificial intelligence isn't some straight shot to the moon. It's more like a roller coaster, with these incredible highs of massive hype, followed by these devastating crashes known as AI winters. So, in this explainer, we're going to unpack that history, look for the warning signs in today's boom, and figure out what might be coming next.
Okay, so to really get what's happening in AI right now, you have to understand that there are two totally conflicting stories being told. On one hand, you've got the unbelievable, over-the-top hype. And on the other, there's this creeping, cold reality setting in. I think this quote from AI reporter Sharon Goldman just nails it. It perfectly captures the mood. While all the public headlines are still blazing hot, on the inside, for a lot of developers, investors, and customers, a definite chill is setting in. And this slide right here shows that massive disconnect. I mean, look at this. On one side, you have spending forecasts hitting a staggering $1.5 trillion. You have leaders talking about achieving AGI, that's artificial general intelligence, basically human-level AI. And they're saying it's just around the corner. But then, on the other side, there's a growing problem. A lot of these big enterprise projects are getting stuck in testing, this pilot purgatory. And the people writing the checks are starting to ask, okay, where's the return on my investment? This tension, this is exactly the kind of thing that can come right before an AI winter. But here's the thing. This isn't the first time we've seen this play out. Not even close. The history of AI has always moved in seasons. You get these incredible summers of hype and progress, followed by long, cold winters of disillusionment. And this is the classic hype cycle in action. Just look at the graph. Some new technology trigger happens, and boom, expectations just soar to this peak of inflated expectations. But when the tech can't deliver on all those impossible promises, it crashes down into the trough of disillusionment. It's only after that long, hard slog that we finally climb up to the plateau of productivity. So, the trillion-dollar question today is, where are we on this curve right now? So let's get really precise here. What exactly is an AI winter? Well, the term was actually coined back in 1984 by researchers who'd already lived through one. They saw this dangerous pattern. You get these overhyped promises that leads to failed projects, which leads to a ton of negative press, and that ultimately causes the funding to just dry up, freezing real progress in its tracks. It's a domino effect. And they were right to be worried. The field had already been through one deep freeze, and believe it or not, it was about to head right into another one. So let's take a look at the two major AI winters of the 20th century to see what exactly went wrong. This timeline really shows you how fast the weather can turn. It starts back in '66, when just a single government report on machine translations failures was enough to kill the funding. Then in '73, a similar report in the UK does the exact same thing. But then, look at 1987. This wasn't a report. It was a total market collapse. An entire industry for what were called Lisp machines. These are specialized computers built just for AI. It just vanished, almost overnight. These weren't little bumps in the road. These were extinction-level events for entire fields of research. So what caused them? Well, the first winter was really about hitting a scientific wall. Researchers had promised machines that could think, but they completely crashed into the impossibly hard problem of common sense. The second winter, though, that was more of a commercial failure. Companies had poured a ton of money into these expert systems that were supposed to replace human experts, but they were super brittle, They'd break if you asked a question outside their very narrow programming, and they were an absolute nightmare to update. If you want to understand that common sense problem, just look at this famous and maybe not entirely true example from early machine translation. The story goes that when researchers translated the phrase, "the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak," into Russian and then back into English, the result was, "the vodka is good, but the meat is rotten." It's just a brilliant illustration of how much unspoken context and world knowledge is packed into our language, and how completely lost early AI was without it. Which brings us to today. Obviously, the technology we have now is way, way more powerful. So is it even fair to compare now to the past? Is this just history repeating itself, or are we in a truly new era?
Well, the parallels to past cycles are a little concerning. Venture capital is definitely tightening its purse strings, demanding real profitability, not just promises.
The media narrative has shifted from AI will change everything to focusing on its costs, its failures, its ethical problems, and you can feel the corporate fatigue setting in as these long, expensive projects aren't delivering clear results. You can almost feel the frost starting to form on the edges.
So, naturally, the experts are fiercely divided. On one side, you've got the bubble view. These folks say this is a classic venture capital fueled hype machine and it's totally disconnected from real value. But on the other side, you have the boom view. They argue that, no, we're just in the early spring. They say the infrastructure is still being built, and the truly transformative applications, the flowers, they're only just beginning to peek through the soil. And you know what? Both sides make a pretty compelling case.
Okay, so what do we do? Whether this is just a momentary cold snap or the start of a deep freeze, the question for businesses, for individuals, for all of us is the same. How do you prepare to not just survive, but actually thrive in what could be a much more challenging AI climate?
You know, the best strategic advice might come from a totally different kind of boom, the gold rush. The big insight here is that the most enduring businesses weren't always the ones digging for gold. They were the ones selling the essential tools, the picks and the shovels, to all the prospectors. And this gives us a really powerful way to think about durable, lasting value in AI. So, what does a picks and shovels strategy actually look like in practice? Well, first, anchor everything in real strategy. Connect your AI projects to actual business outcomes, not just chasing tech hype. Second, diversify your skills. Focus on those uniquely human abilities that AI can't replicate, like creativity and critical thinking. Third, invest in the fundamentals. The core principles of math and computer science are going to outlast any single AI model. And finally, number 4, build on the ecosystem that's already there. Leverage the incredible tools built by cloud providers and chip makers instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. So, at the end of the day, an AI winter shouldn't really be seen as an ending. It's more like a necessary filter. See, hype can keep a lot of bad ideas alive for a while, but the cold eventually reveals what's truly valuable, what's built to last. So the real question isn't whether winter is coming, it's what strong ideas are going to survive it and define the spring that will inevitably follow.